Yes, I've got some poles laying on the ground here, and you might wonder why poles are good things to use. And basically, what we're always doing is preparing a horse to accept the real world. And if we can get a horse that knows how to handle pressure, the pressures of the real world, then we've got a horse that's going to be much more agreeable with us. This horse is real green. She was a little bit reluctant to let me move her laterally from her back, so I'm going to use these poles to help me to get her comfortable with that. So the first thing I'm going to do is use some of my groundwork here. There's forward motion under pressure. And the reason I call that under pressure because the pole is actually putting pressure on this horse. So to move forward up into it, see that pole stopper? So there's pressure. So I'm going to ask her to come forward. She stepped on over it. So if I can get her comfortable first, just stepping over these poles, that's going to be a benefit to me. Okay. Now, I'm going to have her come up and step across this center pole and just stand there. There was one step at a time. One step at a time is very valuable because if you can arrange it so that every time that horse takes a step that you told them to take, that you wanted them to take, and they experience complete freedom in it, we've helped this horse to find a place where they can be comfortable under our direction. So she's standing there pretty nicely right now, so I'm going to ask her to move to her right. So I'm going to just create energy over here on the left side and see if she wanted to walk forward. She stepped over that pole, and I don't want her stepping over that pole. She needs to stay straddled of it. So she ran up into pressure. Now see, right now her hip is stuck. And there's a difference between a horse that's standing still and one that's stuck. When they're stuck, they just don't want to move their feet, and they're mentally blocked. They're locked up. The problem with a horse being stuck is that sometimes on the other side of moving, we get too much movement. Now she unlocked right there behind, see? So as soon as she unlocked behind, I let her feel that complete release. Let's get another step with just the hip. Now here's how I'm getting the hip. This part of the halter is aiding me from having her keep going that way. So when you see me move that lead rope, it's because I'm telling her on the side of her head, don't go that way with your front end. And I was putting pressure on the hind end with energy from this side and watching and waiting. Now I've told her to move and she's stuck again, so now I'm going to go ahead and touch her. She's still stuck behind. She's wanting to move her front end but not the hind end. There's the hind end into complete freedom. But see right now, let's see where her head is. She's not comfortable, so I'm going to wait here a minute until her head comes down a little bit. She's licking and chewing, but that don't matter because she's stilted. She's braced up in the front end. She doesn't like what's going on. So I'm going to let her have a minute here to accept that. Her eye looks better now. Her ears look better. She's attentive a little bit, so I'm going to ask her to move one more step to the left, to her right. There's the front end. Don't come across. Now she took a step towards me there and I didn't ask for it. I just was blocking off the forward motion. So when I was talking to her there, that wasn't for her. That was so you understood what I wanted, because it doesn't do any good at all to verbalize what you want to these horses. It'd be like speaking Chinese to me. I wouldn't have a clue what you're saying. So you gotta talk to me. You gotta talk to a horse in a way that we understand, and the way that they understand is when they feel pressure. You know, how do they handle it? What are they thinking about? How are they feeling? If they can move away from that pressure and it feels better, then they're going to make that choice to move away from pressure every time it's presented to them. So that's how we're communicating. So I'm going to ask her to come back to her left now, to my right. She come front end first. I want her to bring that hip on as she comes. Now, she's in a spot right now where there's no poles. And I want her to go ahead and climb up onto this pole. So this pole right now is applying pressure to her left side. So I've got to override that with pressure on her right side until she steps. Now she's doing a real good job here now of getting ready to climb up onto that pole. Very good. Now she's found complete freedom within that. And if you notice, she's not trying to step out of my picture. She's only doing what I ask her to do. And when she does what I ask her to do, she's finding complete release. Now, if this thing was a problem, she would be afraid of it when it came to her. I'm only using this as a tool to reinforce what I want. So when I ask her to move over to one side, I'm creating energy on this side of her body, and she's simply moving away from the pressure that she's feeling. Let her step over there into freedom. Now let's have her come back. She's stuck behind. I'm waiting on the hip. So I'm feeling over her face. Don't come forward. See, I'm redirecting the energy as I need it to get the body part that I need, not forward. Get that hip. There we go. Now, I'm gonna wait a minute till her head comes down. Let her get comfortable in that. She stepped forward into pressure. She hasn't turned loose. There we go. Now let's go ahead and step on up to that other pole. She moves from that slight suggestion. She doesn't have to feel anymore. But if she doesn't move and I just stand there and watch it, I'm training her to ignore me. And that's not going to help me. So I want her to step off of this pole now. Step off of it. Back up there. And let's crawl up onto that one. One more step. Let's go all the way to the end of that pole. See her taking that hind foot and thinking with her feet right now. She was thought about step. Now she did step over. So we'll get her back over here. No rest over here. She's running into pressure. Get her back over. There she's in release. Complete release right there. Got the front end up onto it. We just need to get the hind end to move up on it. There we go. Have to take another step. I'm not looking for her to just freely step around there without me telling her to do it. What I'm looking for is for her to do only what I tell her to do. And when she does what I tell her to do, she's always going to find that complete release. So if I'm just standing here and she's flailing around there and side passing across them poles without me telling her, that's just as wrong as not doing it. I'm getting her to think about where she's at, what she's doing. Very nice. Now I'm going to have her come back. The reason I'm having her come back is because if I stay at one thing too long, she'll think I got this figured out, and then she'll quit listening to me. Back there, she's stuck in the hip right now. Stuck in the hip. There we go. Perfect. Alright, right there. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to have her back out of that hole. I'm going to have her take just her front end around to her right. hip over to her left. I'm going to have her back up in that hole. Back up. Okay, just crawl up onto that pole to her right, to my left. Every step she takes is a step in freedom when it's at my suggestion. Right here, I'm going to have her move her hind end through that open place. Just her hind end. Get her to step back here. Just bring her front end through that open spot. Come forward here. Now let's step up onto that pole. Very good. I want her to stay put here right now. I'll come up and get my hands on her. So this is a very useful tool for me to help get a horse listening to me, to help elevate respect. Also, I can elevate trust at the same time I'm gaining more respect by allowing those times of freedom to come when she steps freely into my picture and does what I want.